It's story time. So back in my college days, I was all into YouTube videos. I still am. And I thought a beautiful fusion of two viral elements, nuns, as in Catholic nuns, and weapons. And because I'm really into nunchucks, and I just thought, oh, that's just comedic gold, nunchucks. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna create an epic video where I am doing all of these weapons out in the middle of a deserted field there in Spokane, Washington. And I'm gonna synchronize this video to music where there are these monks chanting, and it's kind of got this epic dubstep beat. It was such a cool video. Well, as I was packing up, dragging my war chest through the dust, gonna load it up into my car so that I could go to my shift there at Costco, well, apparently someone must have called the police on me. And they must have had binoculars because I was way out in the middle of this deserted field on the outskirts of Spokane, Washington. Well, the police showed up, 3 squad cars, jumped out. There they were with guns pointed at me. If you've ever had a lot of guns pointed at you, it's kind of unnerving. Of course, it was reported that there was a crazy man out in the middle of nowhere twirling nunchucks, and apparently he had a gun with him. So, in full credit, they were being very cautious. And there they were, and they were screaming, "Get on your knees, show us your hands, get on your knees." Then of course, me being the compliant little individual that I am, I did comply. And as I got on my knees and I was there in the dust and they came up and slapped handcuffs on me, they asked me 3 questions, and only 3 questions. The first question, "Sir, were you dressed as a nun?" Well, that's rather oddly specific, but I answered truthfully and I said, yes, ma'am, I was dressed as a nun. Aha! Sir, question number 2, do you have any weapons? Yes, ma'am, I do have weapons. They're over there in that chest. Aha! Question number 3, do you have a gun or anything that resembles a gun? It was quite unfortunate that they had to say the resembles a gun because I didn't have a real gun, but I had an airsoft gun. And I said, yes, ma'am, I have an airsoft gun in that chest over there. Aha! What are you doing out here? Which is technically question number 4, but you know, comedic gold comes in 3s, so I'll just acknowledge the 3. And I said, well, I'm filming a YouTube video out here, and I told them all about it. We ended up being good friends, swapping numbers, having a great time playing with the pencils on bench number 2. And they said, well, hey, just to let you know, you should probably call us next time if you're gonna do a silly video. There was cause for alarm, someone saw you out here, and they called the police. And it was very inconvenient. After all, I don't like to have firearms pointed at me unnecessarily. But I ended up going to Costco. I was late for work. I told my supervisor, I'm really sorry, but I was dressed as a nun and I was playing with weapons and the police stopped me. To this day, I'm pretty sure my Costco supervisor doesn't believe me. That was the only time I was ever late for work at Costco. So what's the point of this commentary? The point is that when you call the police, that's actually okay, and I don't hold it against them for calling the police, because when that happens, it immediately puts a timestamp on their records, and that means that they can actually act on it. Now, if you are an individual and you happen to see, let's say some spray paint on a wall here, and you're like, you know what, I'm sure 10 other people have already reported this thing, report it anyway. Now, as a city council member, I am on the public safety committee, and I was there at a meeting last night speaking with some of the police officers. By the way, there's some graffiti right here. It's rather poorly done between you, me, and a fence post. Oh, I'm between 2 trucks right here. I'd better go. Someone's gonna call the police on me. Point being, say something. The police can't be everywhere at once. As a matter of fact, I don't want them to be everywhere at once. That's like a 1984 dystopian society if we're always under surveillance. I don't want that for Enumclaw. The eyes and ears of the police in Enumclaw is you and me. Say something. Just call them up and be like, did you notice that there's graffiti on this wall here? Did you notice that this manhole cover is missing? Did you notice that there's some tire slashings on Garfield? And odds are, they're probably gonna say yes, and don't worry, they're not on the other end rolling their eyes going, oh man, this is like our 10th call today about this thing. They appreciate that because they would rather have too many people calling rather than nobody calling at all for like a good 2-3 days because they can't do anything about it. Again, I don't expect them to be cruising around and looking in every single nook and cranny and always checking manhole covers. Do you expect them to do that? I don't. And yet at the same time, I'm gonna say right here, they're on top of it. So despite what you see on social media about a resurgence in crime here in Enumclaw, if you actually look at the statistics, crime is going down on a downward trajectory here in Enumclaw. It seems like crime is just spiking. Well, that's because we're taking more notice of it. We're seeing it on social media. It's easier to snap a photo and just send it out there and be like, ah, yeah, they're not doing anything about it. They actually are. But they're not gonna get on social media and give everybody a play-by-play and say, hey, this is the evidence that we have so far on this current situation. They're not gonna do that. As a matter of fact, if a police officer is actually giving play-by-play as to, you know, certain cases that they're going through and looking at, that's bad. I don't want police to be divulging all of that information. They are actively working on these things, but their number one priority is not telling everybody what status they are. They might say, yes, we're working on it, and I just need to tell you, you gotta trust them, because they are. So anyway, two things. One, trust our local police. They're on our side. And two, be on their side by being their eyes and their ears, by calling stuff in if you see something somewhat suspicious, even if that involves seeing a nun out in the middle of a deserted field twirling nunchucks.
Just got handcuffed.